So you had come across the term jhana quite at least 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, or do you think longer
more,
than that?
more.
Okay.
More like maybe 12.
Okay.
Somewhere back in there, and I read Buddhaghosa, whatever it is, something, the cleaning of...
Buddhaghosa's book is the Visuddhimagga, which is the path of purification.
Yeah.
And jhana appears in there. I did not come across the Visuddhimagga first. I came across, first of all, I'd never heard the term jhana until I think 2000, so that'd be 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I had been studying Buddhism for 30 years by then.
Right.
And for me, it appeared to me that the term jhana had been kind of buried. And when I started asking questions about it among the priesthood of Buddhism, early on I found that they would not even talk about it. If I used the term jhana, they would oftentimes get up and walk away. And what interests me about Gunaratna early on, I started searching the web back then, 11 years ago, for the term jhana, as soon as I heard the term jhana. And by the way, before I go there, basically how I discovered the term jhana was I had gone to a Goenka, one of those Goenka 10-day retreats, right?
I've done a number of those.
And so
it's a good place to get used to the idea of being on a cushion.
Well, maybe. To me, it's more about self-abuse. It's really not a place to learn how to love meditation.
No, but you can get around it, sort of.
Right. Most of the people I've met who have done one Goenka retreat never expect to go back to another one, even though they speak very highly of the retreat. They don't ever expect to go back. And to me, that's not successful. If you want to get out of meditation, what meditation is available to you, which is defined as jhana in the suttas, then you really have to learn to love meditation, because you got to do a lot of meditation to get that jhana thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, Goenka,
well, it's tapes, and after a while, that tapes drive you.
Right, it's tapes, and not only that, but it's many hours of meditation, and most people end up with sore knees, sore backs, and sore backsides, and get almost nothing out of the retreat other than a lot of pain.
Well, it took me a couple before I got onto what how I could do that. Because the price was certainly right.
Right, it's free.
And then people, you go there and they take care of you, and
right,
and there you are.
But the way I look at it, it's you get what you pay for.
Well, yeah.
Right, and so anyway, I'm at this retreat, and I had been experiencing a profound bliss and joy in my meditations for decades before I got there.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm experiencing my profound bliss and joy and ecstasy while I'm meditating, and I get called up in front, which is normal, right? And I'm a new student because I've never been to a Goenka retreat, but I had been to many 10-day meditation retreats before that. And I don't mind, Zen mind, no mind, and beginner's mind, and all that kind of stuff. I'm okay with being treated as a beginner,
Why not?
But the guy who was leading the retreat, the assistant teacher, he became incensed with the subtle little things that go on when I meditate, which is mostly when I'm experiencing the bliss and joy of meditation. Maybe some tears will streak down my face, and my torso might rock back and forth just a little bit, and my head might bob a little bit. And he became obsessed with my bobbing head and my rocking torso. He actually kicked me out of the retreat on the 8th day.
Really? Wow.
And basically he said, you have got to get your head to stop bobbing and your back not rocking. And I said, look, I'm not here to babysit my back and my head. They just do whatever they want to. I'm just meditating, right? And he said, well, okay, then you've got to go. And he specifically said because people with weak minds, suggesting I had a weak mind,
Right.
might be subject to, problems. And so, and then, from reviewing the Goenka movement, it became clear to me that within Goenka, especially 10 years ago, the word jhana was not going to be used, and it was considered to be an evil word,
Right.
not permitted to be used.
Right.
They did not use the term.
I used it once with that.
Oh, really? And what happened?
And they weren't thrilled with the idea that I would mention such a thing.
Well,
because I'd already been interested in this sort of stuff.
right.
Because years and years ago, I started meditating in '74.
That's when I started meditating. Actually, 73 is when I started.
So, and I just read the Tao Te Ching.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my final. I didn't know at the time, but it was my final graduate year that I went to, and I thought, well, I think I need to learn how to meditate. But the only thing you could do then in those days was TM.
Right.
And they wanted 135s or whatever. Yeah.
And I refused to pay the money. It was like, the way I looked at it is if they were a genuine organization, there'd be no money charged for the meditation technique.
Right.
Maybe they would accept donations.
Sure.
But, charging like it was some kind of initiation or something, I just thought, nah, that's not.
But in those days, there was very little information on what you do.
Right.
Now there's too much.
Right.
But then there was nothing. And
what says what about Western culture? If there was no information about meditation in the West 30 years ago.
But I started doing yoga things, and people thought I was nuts. When I was in high school, my last year of high school, or somewhere before there.
Right.
I told somebody I was, doing yoga. I said, why would you do that? I've been practicing yoga relaxation for 50 years.
Okay.
And it's a sweeping, with relaxing. Same
So that's
thing.
a little bit like the Goenka model.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Except they didn't tie in relaxation. They're just sweeping. They're not trying.
They're just, it's a clean sweep.
Right.
They want to get that. They like the idea that I could sweep everything in like 15 seconds or up and down. But so I looked in newspaper articles and a little bit here and a little bit there, and I said, oh, you observe your breath. And that's what it was, and I did that with the relaxation, and I do it lying down, and I'll get into these incredibly ecstatic states, and some that I didn't want to leave. I said I don't think I want to even get out of this. It's only later on that I look back and I say, oh, I was doing these things.
You were experiencing jhana.
Yeah.
To me, one of the indications of jhana is that it's so nice that you don't want to leave it.
Well, good.
To me, that's an indicator that somebody's been experiencing jhana.
If you're not careful, you try to guide your breath rather than just observing it. I think everybody goes through that.
Sure.
And so then my sleep was all fouled up here in this way. And
sure. We try to control everything.
Yeah.
At first, if we're observing the breath, we're trying to control the breath instead of just letting it go.
Yeah.
And then if we're doing body scanning, where we're trying to control the body, not just let it go and relax, right?
Oh, no.